Hello everybody, I'm Elwirfy, and today I wanted to make a bigger video, kind of going over and breaking down everything just wrong with parasocial relationships, and I thought David Dobrik is the perfect example of someone who clearly takes advantage of his status, his fame, his wealth, to manipulate others into helping him essentially deceive themselves, almost. Parasocial relationships is an interesting one, and one that I've mentioned, of course, in other videos, but I don't think I've ever dived deeply into this subject before. So, if you're willing to stick around, I wanted to kind of give a breakdown of everything that's been going on recently, and talk about content creation as a whole, and just kind of give a big synopsis and understanding of my perspective on everything regarding the David Dobrik situation as of now, essentially. So, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, who exactly is David Dobrik? I mean, I'm sure there's people who've heard of him. Obviously, he's popular, but I think it's important to understand exactly where he came from, how did he show up here, and then ultimately get to the point of, why should we care, right? So, David Dobrik is a 27-year-old who originally started out making these vlogging-style prank videos on this thing called Vine. Now, if you don't know what Vine is, it's kind of this place like TikTok where you'd make short videos that were like really short, and comedy was the dominant thing. And because comedy was dominant on that space, prank videos, quote, prank videos were the thing to do to get people to go, well, that's just crazy. How could they do this? And now, because of his popularity, he ended up winning, he has won, I guess I should say, multiple Streamies. I don't know why. I don't think he deserves it, but you'll see why later. Right now, he has about 17 million subscribers, give or take, though I'd argue it should be lower. I do believe that a good chunk of his subscribers are actually people who found him when they were children and might still continue to watch him just because they grew up with him, or new subscribers who come in likely are also children. I'd be very shocked if his demographic was over the age of 20, because I think once you're past 20, you tend to be smart enough to realize that his kind of content really isn't all that good at all, to be frank. Now, one thing that did come out of his content, which I would argue is slightly inspired by esports, actually, but David went ahead and made this thing called the Vlog Squad. Now, the Vlog Squad is essentially... Well, okay, so there's two ways to think about it. There's the version David might tell you where he says, it's a chance for people to come together and collaborate with David to all boost each other up and make all of each other popular. Make everyone share in the glory. But really what it's for is so that way David has people to make content with, so that way David can get rich and gain power and ultimately be able to not worry about the lives of anyone else. He essentially uses the Vlog Squad to take advantage of people's trust in him. He'll be like, no, yeah, I got you. Oh, man, we're such good friends. We're such homies. That's what the videos might be about. And, if you're a young kid and you're watching this, you might be thinking, oh, wow, I want to have a friend group like that. And, and then he treats them like garbage. So that's kind of all they're for. Right now, actually, David has most recently been canceled, actually, on the internet because he has been allegedly doing some essaying. He's been doing some alleged bullying, and less recently, but I think a little more relevant, though, to why I'm making this video about David and why parasocial relationships are such a big issue is actually from him injuring his former friend, Jeff Wittek, who you'll see later suffered greatly due to David's incompetence, his lack of safety, and his overall disregard for the lives of people who he supposedly was friends with. Of course, obviously now David is currently being sued by Jeff and State Farm, which is quite regrettable for David, but honestly, as fans, we're loving it because David's finally getting some justice that is honestly a bit overdue, and the suing is coming because of the injuries that David did cause to Jeff. Currently, unfortunately, I guess I should say, Dobrik is not on YouTube anymore. He's not making YouTube stuff mostly because of the cancellations. And he also stopped a podcast he was doing as well with one of his other buddies, who we'll get to later. Right now, so you're wondering, how does he maintain his wealth and power? It's because he's somehow managed to trick Snapchat into giving him deals and sponsorships to get people to watch him, which to me is crazy, right? I think that's nuts. But for some reason, David still is getting popularity from this and somehow taking advantage of people in this way. So that's just really disheartening and a little upsetting. But he also owns a pizza chain called the Dobriks, which I guess is clever, but I mean, to be honest, dude, I mean, are you really going to be that surprised that people are against you when you care more about your own little pizza shop than the lives of the people you helped create, than the people you helped make even worth talking about for a video? But yeah, let's go ahead and move on now. I think this is a good point to get to kind of the beef, meat, and potatoes of the situation, right? So, if you don't know, this is the Vlog Squad. There's a lot of people involved, and in fact, I'm kind of in the way a bit. Sorry, my green screen doesn't like the green background, so you might see some fading in and out. But essentially what's important to understand is that these two people here, the people with the black arrows, firstly, and I can use my mouse, I suppose, this guy in the middle, this is Jason. Jason is supposedly the more close friend of David Dobrik, the kind of, I guess, the number 2, I guess you could say, of the group. And then, of course, we have Jeff over here. He's the one who is currently suing David over the things that have been going on. Now, I want to point out that the rest of these people, although mostly not relevant, I do know this guy, and I think it's this guy, I think, are doing a podcast together right now, and I heard that these 3 are currently doing OnlyFans to support themselves, because, that's right, David loves to abandon his friends, especially in their time of need. David has grown so much wealth and so much power, he does not even need to rely on anybody in order to make things happen. So, let me go ahead and play you an example of one of the reasons why I think it's so important to understand exactly what kind of a person David is. And to really understand also, I think part of what inspired this whole video as a whole. I think that's also just really important. So, as you can see here, we have this video where I was going to play this clip. I really was going to play this, but upon editing, unfortunately, this clip is copyrighted of all the clips I'm going to be showing you today. So, just for the sake of this video, I want to point out what they discuss, essentially, because it's only a minute long. You can go watch it if you want. What they're discussing is the fact that David is completely just irresponsible with the way he takes care of other people. There's some debate in the video about whether or not, David would take care of them if they got injured. There was an incident, I guess, where one of them almost lost their hand to an alligator. There was concerns about, if like my face had been lit on fire, do you think David would have helped paid for this? And obviously we know that's not true, because David doesn't care about any of these people. And it sucks that this is like an old video and people were already talking about this. People were already aware that David just has this narcissistic behavior where he clearly doesn't care about the people he claims to be friends with. And yet these people consider David to be a friend because of the status and power that comes with being friends with David. I mean, there's a lot to be said here that David really does have a huge impact on their lives. And I think it's a bit of a shame that, for people like this who are part of the squad or whatever, that they're being taken advantage of. And I think that just really sucks. So, again, let's go ahead and move on to something else now, which I think is also really relevant and really important to this discussion, because if people were already noticing this issue already, just imagine what people were thinking, certainly after multiple incidents where David was making things far worse, especially with what David did to Jeff, as you can see from the caption. There's a lot going on here, and I don't know. I'm really curious what his audience thinks of him. That's the one thing I haven't quite figured out, is what fans of David are still using to justify fandom for him, because, like, there's video clips like this where people clearly already know that David doesn't have the friends' back. He's not going to support you, and he's not going to take care of you like he should, which, in my opinion, is he's responsible for doing if he's going to be inciting these people to do dangerous things for him. So we spent all this time talking about this guy, Jeff, and I haven't actually fully introduced him, so let me just get that out of the way real quick. So this is Jeff Wittek. He is a 34-year-old who is also a YouTuber and podcaster. He currently has 3 million subscribers, which is pretty good, to be honest, for someone who was able to gain his popularity and fame off of the back of someone like David. He joined up with David around 2018 to do David's kind of vlog style of content, but it was unfortunate that in 2020, that's when the accident with Jeff occurred, where Jeff was unfortunately struck into an excavator while falling into water upside down with his foot like dangling. So he's like kind of like hanging, he's hanging over water, being smacked into the metal of an excavator. I don't know how to describe it necessarily. You guys will see the clip in a second, but like, it's kind of crazy stuff. He injured his skull, his eye, lip, leg, foot, and they broke and fractured, and it's so messed up. This is a picture. Oh, this is a picture. Wrong direction. This is a picture from the hospital where he was showing off his injuries, and it really sucks, right? Because like David straight up just hospitalized this guy. He could have blinded him. It was crazy. But you know what? Well, you know what's even crazier? Because of parasocial relationships, because of what's happening, unfortunately, it seems that for some reason, Jeff still wanted to protect David. He wanted to make sure that David would, be like, not hating on him and stuff. And yet, for some reason, David stopped caring about him. After Jeff was like recovered or whatever, David even blamed Jeff for the injuries that David caused. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Like, how do you let someone get away with that? Which is why Jeff is, of course, not wanting to be associated with David at all. Obviously, Jeff was not wanting to join in a Bryce Hall roast, which is another content creator. And he didn't want to join him because David is, quote, a scumbag, because he found out that David was also going to be in this roast video that happened. So that sucks, Like, now you can see the division, right? It makes sense why people aren't really feeling all that cool about David, because this guy, Jeff, who went to bat for David and wanted to say, hey, look, I'm not mad at you, David. But then David turns around and just is like, nah, it's your fault, dude. Like, that's totally just not, it's not okay, right? Like, it'd be like if like a fan came up to me and said, oh, hey, I really like your content. And then I was like, no, you don't. You're trash. Like, I wouldn't say that because that's so, like, backwards thinking. Maybe that makes sense for you guys. But yeah, and essentially Jeff was quoted saying, he's been done being fake friends with that motherfucker on live stream, which is, of course, makes sense. He said this on a live stream, and it again cementing the idea that Jeff wants complete separation from David, and I think that's the right choice. I think that's fair. So in a way, Jeff kind of woke up because of this injury, and he was able to break himself away from the kind of all worshiping of David, in his ultimate quest for just having domination over people who are around him. And most recently, actually, Jeff made a video talking about how he was suing David for the actions that were happening in general during the Vlog Squad. So not just that single injury, but also for just the general advantage being taken of him and the other people in the Vlog Squad. Like, that's awful. Like, as content creators, and especially if you're a small content creator and you're watching this video and you're thinking, well, okay, how do I not make these mistakes? You just treat people nicely, just be good to people. Don't make people feel uncomfortable. Make sure you ask if they're okay. Make sure that they're feeling safe and that everyone involved is having a good time. Remember, guys, we're here making content, trying to have fun. I want this to be a fun, cool experience for everybody, right? And it would, in my opinion, not be very fun if, like, there's this one guy who's in the background who's just taking the blame for everything. And to me, that's not fair. And that really hurts me, and that's upsetting to see. So let me move on to kind of the next main example that we have here. So this is the famous clip, which is the main reason, I think, why Jeff is suing David. But there might be other reasons. I'm not here to comment on the actual details of the lawsuit, so please don't come after me for that. But I want to point out, before you watch this clip, that it does contain, I guess, graphic stuff or stuff that might be hard to watch. It is blurred in the video, but it is still very implied, so I just want you guys to be prepared for that. But the person who is getting onto the swing right now, onto the rope, and keep in mind, he has no helmet, he has no life vest, he has no padding, he has nothing. He is completely just doing this bare clothes in like a swim trunk and a t-shirt. He's about to hop onto this excavator that David is driving. So you're not going to see David in the clip, but David is from our camera's perspective, essentially, I think is how it goes. So I just want to play this clip, and you might hear Jeff commenting over the top of it. That's okay. Let's just get into the clip. I think it's very important.
Out of a plane 20 times. What's the worst that could happen if I swing from a rope over a 1 foot deep lake? And yeah, I didn't know I was going to go that fast. So I grabbed the fucking rope and I tried to make a goddamn funny video for people, but this is where I made a mistake. I forgot that the biggest fucking idiot I know was driving it.
And I want to point out as the video plays, please just note that even in his commentary, Jeff is already acknowledging that David is stupid and that he's an idiot. You know, he quoted it. So, of course, like, in his mind, he knew he shouldn't have done it, but because at the time he trusted David, at the time he was thinking, oh, David's my friend, David would never do anything to hurt me, David would always want the best for me, he still went with it for the sake of a damn video. Look, I love making videos, I love it, but no video is worth what you're about to see. I just fundamentally disagree. I don't think any video is worth this.
Oh shit, oh shit.
Time literally slows down.
Go to Utah Valley Hospital, just been hurt.
The whole side of his face is just open.
And nobody could do anything to stop it.
Yeah, so essentially that's why now we're at a point where, of course, he wants to go after him and get revenge for what happened. This is horrible, you know what I mean? How could you ever want to still be friends with someone who would ever treat you like this and put you in this situation? It's just terrible. I mean, you saw all those firsthand accounts of people saying what they saw in the moment. That's crazy, right? And David doesn't care, and then David goes and he doesn't want to help out. He doesn't want to worry about medical bills. He doesn't want to even take blame. He blames Jeff for this, the guy swinging on the rope. Insane. I'm sorry. It's just really hard to understand. Anyway, let's try and move on. So I do feel at this point we need to talk about the other main player in the David situation and the other really big example of the parasocial relationships that David has constructed for himself. This is David's quote-unquote best friend, Jason Nash. Now, Jason's 50. All right, so I just want to think about the age gap first off. So, like, Jason, in his own right, to be fair, has 3 million subscribers. And he started, you know, obviously, as you can see on the slide, he started hanging out with David in his vlogs in 2016. So, he's 50 now. It's 2024. So, that means this dude was hanging out with David when he was, what would that be, 42? Yeah, I can do math, right? Yeah, 42. So this dude spent 8 years of his life with David, and he committed himself to making these videos, to being in the vlogs, to helping out and build that relationship, build that friendship, right? And, you know, of course, Jason did the Views podcast with David, where it's just him and David just chatting it up, and they get millions of views. Imagine getting millions of views for just talking to someone. You know what I mean? Like, I love talking to you guys. I love the community we've built. I love how we're all just hanging out together. But remember, guys, that, you know, that not everyone's able to be successful just from using their voice. Some people have to actually put an effort into their videos rather than just talking about garbage like the Views podcast was kind of doing. Now, I want to point out in this instance that Jason is not a good guy in this scenario. He is known for an allegation in 2021 where he supposedly essayed Seth Francois during a prank video and other things that involve David. But here's the thing. Even with the controversy that Jason's involved in, it's because of David. David created situations where he's putting his friends at risk. David is actively against everyone who he works with, which doesn't make sense. Wouldn't you want to protect the people, especially the guy who you think is supposed to be your best friend? But then he's not. Clearly, Jason is clearly not your best friend, David, because you would not have put him in this situation. And it's going to get sad. This is really going to get rough. Like, because currently, right, Jason is currently begging for money for these things called GIFs on TikTok live, where you do these like battles where, let's be honest, guys, TikTok is already kind of but now TikTok has this feature where you can just be like side by side in a video and you like battle it out for people to just donate you money. It's really weird. And, you know, what sucks is that, you know, he's talked about his financial struggles after the vlogs and the podcast stuff too. Like, Jason talks about it constantly, about how David has hung him out to dry, yet he still sees David as kind of a friend. it's weird how when you're in a parasocial relationship, you get in your mind, like, you put them on a pedestal, right? Kind of like, you know, like you kind of have a crush in school and, you know, you're really nervous to talk to them. You're like, oh my God, there's that girl over there. She looks so beautiful and charming and nice. And I've never spoken to her at all, but I just have to do something. You know what I mean? Like there are those moments where you put someone so up high on a pedestal that you realize, wait a minute, it's not an equal relationship here, right? Because that girl you might be looking at, you know, off in the distance, she don't know your name. She don't even know what you look like. Like you're just in your head, right? I think David got into Jason's head to trick Jason into thinking that they're friends when they're not. I mean, really, they're just not. I mean, I know they say they are, and behind the scenes, obviously, I'm not going to comment on what it's like behind the scenes, but from what I have seen in my observations, it really feels like they're not. Or at least David knows they're not, but Jason doesn't know that. And also recently, he has talked about wishing how David would still do the podcast with Jason because of the financial struggles that not doing the podcast has put him in. So just overall, all around, very sad and very disappointing. I do have a couple videos that we're going to go through now showing just how poorly just how awful it can be when you're abandoned by someone who you've been working with for so long and ultimately strung you out to dry and just doesn't care about you anymore. It sucks. All right, so we're going to go over a couple clips now. This first one is just an example of what these TikTok battles look like. And I have my own opinions on this as a thing in general, but let me just show off let me give you guys a taste of the vibe of what it's like when Jason goes and does these TikTok battles to try and get money for himself.
The same example. AKS! 20 seconds left. Default Sports Station. Everybody bring that home. Slide now. Slide. Slide. 8, 7. Need it bigger. AKS. Yeah! Default! Damn. Thank you, Sarah, for trying. Thank you, P-Flow.
So you don't need to see much more than that. Essentially, it's this crazy thing where viewers see two screens against each other, and like I already said, they're battling of donations. But it's this insane concept where it's essentially just like, hey, give me money to make sure the other person has less money. But either way, you're both getting money, so it's like really beneficial to just battle literally whoever you want and just hope that people give you money just because they want to see a little sliding bar go back and forth. Like, imagine, like, remember every time you see like an emoji or a rose pop up or a galaxy, that's worth real money. That's real kids using their mom's credit cards, emptying it out and shoveling it to people who are just begging for stuff. And the thing is, he wouldn't even need to do this if David hadn't cut him off, if David hadn't taken advantage of him. Crazy, crazy stuff. So after seeing what he's doing, essentially, I want to point out Tana also has decided to make a video talking about it, and this is a very famous clip. You might have already seen it, but I just want to let this roll real quick because I think it's important to break down a little bit.
Can someone make Jason Nash a fucking DoorDash account? If I open my TikTok one more time to seeing him begging for roses on my Live For You page, I'm calling CPS.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, Jason makes these videos where he's asking people for money so frequently that now it's bothering other big content creators. Like, the fact that big content creators are talking about him doing, honestly, the best he can to try and make money on what social media he has just to survive and take care of his family is really sad and, frankly, really disappointing. I, of course, would feel horrible if I was spending my time begging you guys for money. I mean, if I have to do it, I'll do it, but, like, I'm not at that point yet, and I'm struggling with all my life. You know, I'm not rich. You know what I mean? I'm not rich like all these influencers we're talking about. You know, I don't have a house that looks fancy. I use a green screen to hide how garbage my house is. I mean, that's just how it is. So I just want to point that out.
Yes. Have you seen your kids? Have you seen them? And also when they go to school, are their friends like, hey, I saw your dad, like, begging for a galaxy. Like, and I know.
Yeah, and it sucks because, you know, that's a fair point. If you have kids and, like, your kids' friends are talking about you, like, that's not good. You know, and he's 50. Jesus. I mean, dude, like, he's so ingrained into the world of entertainment and the world of social media that he can't even seem to think of another way to make money. it's just crazy. Like, I work a normal job. I work, right? After I make this video, I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to go to work. And it's not going to be fun, but I need to survive. So I'll keep doing it. And, you know, Jason over here doesn't even want to try to supplement his income with anything other than just begging. It's sad.
Oh, I'm a sellout, okay? I'm not against people doing things for money, but at this point, it's like, I would rather see him behind a paywall, cheeked up. Like, I just don't get, every single time I've opened my phone, Jason Nash is on live begging for money. And I want answers. Have you seen your kids this month? Can someone...
Yeah, it's really disappointing to see, and frankly, just upsetting. So I wanted to get into some clips from a recent podcast that Jason was on, where he's talking about, you know, what he's been reduced to, essentially, where he's on TikTok begging people for this stuff. So people are now questioning him about it, and also talk about David as well. Again, this all ties into David. This is because David has taken advantage of these people that he supposedly thought were in the vlog squad or in his crew or whatever you want to call it.
Does any of the negativity affect you around it?
No, it really doesn't. At first.
That's a lie. Despite what you might say, even I, as a content creator, as someone who's used to people saying my videos are garbage, it always hurts. It always sucks. But I can look past it and move on. And I think that's kind of what he meant to say here.
First, when I would see the comments, it did affect me. I was like, oh man, this is bad. And then now I've seen every comment, and it's actually made me stronger. Like, I heard the other day Scott was complaining about a mean comment that he got. And in the back of my mind, I was like, someone said to Scott, like, you know, your music's so sad. Like, why don't you try to do something more uplifting? Whatever. So that, like, it bothered him or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, bro, you got to come on TikTok Live. You got to.
Yeah. So right now they're talking about hate comments, and I think people have really been hating on Jason a lot because of the fact that he's begging. And to be clear, just like in all my videos, I don't mean for you guys to go and hate on anybody or go after anybody in these videos, but I think it is important to note that when you get reduced to having to beg people to give you money, it makes sense that you would do everything you can to do the best that you can. Like, you know, so I'm not surprised if there's people who are commenting saying, oh, how could you keep trying to get money this way? But it makes sense if, like, this is all you know. If you've grown up now in a society where getting money on the internet is the only source of income you can think of, I'm not surprised that this is where things would go.
To see the real shit. And it does. It just makes you stronger. Now, look, would I be on TikTok Live if I wasn't in, like, a financial hole? I don't know. Probably not.
So, yeah, he even admits it right there. He would not be doing this if he wasn't in a hole. The hole created by David not wanting to do these podcasts with him. Now, look, I'm not here to talk about the quality of the podcast. I don't personally care for them, but if you do, fine, whatever. But they made him money. So that's something important to think about. It still made him money, you know? So, and having that income source taken away just sucks.
But also, like, YouTube wasn't really working, and I needed to find something. OnlyFans. I can't do OnlyFans. They won't let me on there.
I've tried multiple times.
So he points out that OnlyFans won't even let him go on there, which that's that own website's policies and stuff. I don't have an OnlyFans. I don't know how that stuff works, but I thought like anyone could do it, but like apparently you have to be approved. So I learned something new today, I suppose. But yeah, he said he can't make money there. It really sounds like for him, TikTok is the last resort. You know, like.
They said no, I can't. I don't want to do OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And so it was like, all right. TikTok came to me. They're like, we'll help you. And I was like,
oh, that's good.
I was like, okay. And so, yeah. And it's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah. And it sucks. It sucks that he's had to now rely on, I mean, he says that TikTok came to him in this moment, but you have to remember that, TikTok is a very large entity, and they do not care about every individual person. I'm sure Jason went out of his way to reach out to TikTok to do funding.
Do you have? I obviously your kids are first and foremost, but do you also have a North Star for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to make this TV show, and I had a good meeting the other day, and it's like I do TikTok Live, and then that will help the podcast. The podcast is only in its second year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's trying other things. Like, it's not like he's not trying, but in terms of making money, he isn't. You know, he's just doing the TikTok stuff.
So I'm hoping maybe by the third year it becomes like profitable. Maybe this year it'll become profitable. And so like TikTok Live's affording this, and then that's my North Star. But right now I pay for my kids' school, which is really expensive.
So I want to point out he does actually also live a very lavish lifestyle. So that's another thing to remember. When you're feeling bad for this guy, don't feel too bad, because he's paying for his kids' school. Like, I'm a public school kid. You know, my parents were public school kids. And then my grandparents, they immigrated and all that. But, you know, you could send them to private, or not private, send them to public school, you know, instead of private school, because private school is expensive. And if you're hurting for money, I mean, I don't know what it's like in California. I think that's where he lives, right? Or even if he's moved. But public school's not the end of the world. Like, you can still learn a lot. I got my bachelor's degree in writing, so I mean, you can definitely be successful as a public school kid. Most people are public school kids. So if he wants to save money, there's a chance to save money right there, just for the record.
And I pay for this house, and and then I have college next year. Yeah. So I'm just like, this is what it is. And then what I try to think about are all the people that love the live when I come on, and they're like, what's up, what's up, what's up? I'm like, and I know every name, and I'm like, oh.
So, actually, I think he's about to get to it.
You're getting repeat.
Yeah, they're 8 hours a day, and I'm entertaining people.
Yeah, so he's become addicted to entertaining people. He loves it so much that he can't stop himself from doing it. Apparently, he's on live for 8 hours a day. That's wild to me. Like, guys, I love making YouTube videos. I really do. But I could not do this 24/7 or something, right? I gotta eat, sleep, watch shows, learn about drama so I can talk about it with you guys. Like, my whole life isn't YouTube. Like, it's a very big part of my life, and it's always going to be special and important to me that I have this channel, that I'm able to entertain all of you, but I'm not doing it like a zombie, right? I like it. Like, I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy this, you know. I would just get a second job or something, you know, or like really be focusing on that grind set. But I really do want to make this a career eventually. That'd be, that's, you know, God willing and all that fun stuff. But he's doing it like insanely a large amount of time because he's so desperate for cash. Again, because of what's happened with David, because David isn't willing to help this guy survive.
Well, people want to come in talking.
Yeah. I mean, this is your job. This is what you do.
Yeah,
You've been doing.
That's how I see it. And that's it. And if anybody doesn't like it, it's like,
Yeah, so he actually sees it as a job. So I think that when you get to the point where your hobby becomes your job, it's just soul-sucking and draining. Like, I will always see YouTube as a hobby. I've always enjoyed YouTube, and I will never, unless I became rich like these fools, I don't see myself ever not working a regular job, just because, one, I could tell plenty of stories if you guys really wanted. I got all kinds of work stories. So you can comment down below if you want me to tell a work story sometime. But, you know, this is, like I've recently just got monetized, but, you know, I'm not planning on becoming someone who lives off of YouTube, right? I'm planning on always probably working a normal job. And that's okay. I've kind of accepted that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I love making YouTube videos, and I love being able to, you know, explain things to you guys and just share stuff that I'm interested in. And I think that's really important, and I love that about this community. So that's what he's saying too. He's saying he really likes being on TikTok, but it's becoming a job for him because he needs to support his house, his kids, his family. And I get that. I would do anything for my family. And that's why partly why I make these YouTube videos, to be honest, because anything you guys can do to help support really does make a huge impact on my life, my wife's life. Just, it's huge, guys.
They're probably, like, the people that are saying that probably have conventional jobs, right? They're looking at, like, oh,
yes,
like, oh, they can't do what he does. So they're like, why? So they're trying to bring him down, right?
Yeah, I mean, I challenge anybody to sit there for 8 hours. It's
no, I'm not saying like it's easy. It's awful. Oh yeah, no, I'd be horribly like it'd be soul sucking to sit there for 8 hours and just be like, ugh, give me money. Like, oh my God, how boring would that be? That your life would be reduced to that. I don't want to do that. Like I said, that's why I don't do that. Like, I once tried to do a 24-hour live stream, guys, and let me tell you, one, it didn't go very well, but two, I kind of ran out of stuff to talk about. Like, I need to be inspired. I need to feel like I'm excited to make stuff. But if I'm just sitting there, and now maybe it's because nobody was talking in my chat. Maybe I'd have more fun if I was entertaining some people while the live stream was going on. But, like, you know, it's not like I enjoyed it, and I don't think I'd want to do this for 8 hours straight. You know, you see these videos, yes, I put a lot of time and production into them, but I'm always like engaging, I'm always excited and always having fun with it. And that's something I think that has become lost for Jason, which really sucks.
It's exhausting.
Let's start one. Let's sit here for 8. Pull up the phone.
Ready?
No. Oh, sorry. Excuse, please.
I get it. Because I am with child as well. Not with, but I.
Okay, so there you go. So now this is one final clip that I have here about Jason talking about, as you can see in the caption, why he's refusing to get the 9 to 5 job. Because that's a fair point, right? So now that we've clearly established that Jason doesn't like what he's doing, he doesn't enjoy, you know, going to these to these 8-hour days of just sitting on TikTok with his phone and being like, I'd love to get money from you guys. He's not doing that. So, but I want you guys to hear why he's not getting 9 to 5. I think it's also very telling about the damage that's been caused by David. Again, we can't forget about David, even though I'm showing clips of Jason. It's showing the effects of David and what it's done to him.
Do anything.
Yeah, like I don't know. You said earlier, somebody said, why doesn't he just get a DoorDash, whatever?
Right.
Like, do you ever think about going
to DoorDash
or to like a, you know, did you ever think about going back to like any other job, or was like
I can't do anything else,
or just
I can't do anything else? That's his words. He physically feels like this is all he can do, is to be on the internet and ask people for money. That sucks, guys. I mean, you know, I have a membership, I have a Patreon, but it's not obligated. I'm not going to force you to give me money in order for me to keep making you guys content. There will always be content on this channel. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not stopping making content till I die. Like, I love making content so much for you guys. It means the world to me that I get to do this and that I have the opportunity to reach out and help people feel better, relax after a long day, enjoy your time. But, you know, this is, for him, this is everything. I don't know. It's kind of heartbreaking.
Or just like, I like Tristan, obviously you do lives with him. I don't know, I just never thought it's entertainment or nothing. I don't care what it is. Like,
what would you suggest I do?
It's just that
get a job at Lululemon.
I'm genuinely asking, because anytime I see one, the comments are like, why doesn't he like work like a real job? Like, this isn't me saying this as a negative thing. I'm just totally asking.
Please.
Yeah.
Why don't I get a real job?
No.
Is that your question? No.
I think it's disappointing that they're laughing at him, and I just realized, sorry, the screen is kind of small. Can we make it bigger? Yeah, we can make it bigger. Whoopsie, sorry about that. But I want to point out, that still sucks. These guys are totally laughing at him because of his situation. Like, these two guys on this podcast, I don't know them, but they're clearly making fun of Jason for the situation that he's been put in because of his poor mindset.
You know what? Not to be offensive or anything, but why don't you give up?
No, that's really not. I'm genuinely asking because there's the comments I see. I know why you do it.
Yeah.
But like, say that it's okay. You know what? Just label it like that. Why don't you get a real job?
I don't have any skills.
He doesn't feel like he has any skills because he's been making nothing but garbage prank videos for the last 8 years of his life. Because his life has turned into the David Dobrik show. This is his life. That's horrible, right? Don't we agree? That's not good. You know, like, but my whole life isn't YouTube. I love YouTube being a part of my life, but it's not my whole life. But for him, this is everything for him. That's crazy.
Okay, see, people?
I don't
see. That's why
someone said that the other day. Why don't you get into real estate? I'm like,
I hate it.
I don't have a real estate license.
Bo Graney was his name.
Do you have any interests outside of entertainment?
No.
Oof. He doesn't even have any interests outside of entertainment. I mean, like, okay, let's say, for example, I couldn't do YouTube anymore. Like, the channel died or something, or like, for whatever reason, I couldn't, I can't make videos for whatever reason. Like, I can't speak. Something happens, right? And the channel's fundamentally not able to be what I want it to be, and I step away. What would I be doing? Well, I love board games, and I would love to make card games and board games, and, you know, just get my entertainment from that. I still would love watching YouTube videos. I'd find something, I guess is my point. There's things in my life outside of content creation, but for Jason, this is everything. Because David has made his whole life, the life of the people around him, all about making content. That's their whole lives now.
Okay.
I mean, I don't.
Golfer?
I can't golf.
Okay.
What would I do?
I was about to say live stream it, but no, never mind.
I hope that didn't come off as like a negative thing. I was generally asking.
I like what you're doing. You're posing the question of what everyone's thinking.
Yeah.
Which is good. What a piece of...
You're saying what is on everybody's mind.
I'm just... I saw comments. I was like, oh, I'm going to ask him because people are, I don't know. I just see it as...
Straight talking Zach,
Yeah.
Straight shooter, this guy over here.
Yeah. So very disappointing overall. I think it's really sucks what David has ultimately done to Jason. I think that's just incredibly sad and ultimately very disappointing. So, in conclusion, what have we learned, essentially? We've learned that parasocial relationships are pretty much the worst thing you can do as a content creator. So I guess this is part of the video where I'm like, okay, if you're a small content creator, here's what the takeaway is, truly. When there's people like this guy, like David here, who essentially lives off of taking advantage of others, big no-no. Humiliation of others, also a big no-no. Who asks his fans to support him, but then doesn't show that same support to his coworkers. And guys, here's the crazy thing that I haven't even talked about yet, and I'm circling back to now. Nobody that David has asked to be in his vlog squad are employees. So that means when David decided to stop making content creation, nobody could hold him accountable at all. David didn't have to pay anybody anything. So everybody in that vlog squad picture that I showed you, they're on their own. David is essentially retired because he's so rich from everything that he's taken from all those people's lives. Right? Isn't that crazy? I could never... I don't know. Maybe it's because maybe it's because I'm poor and I have this different perspective, but I don't know. I can't imagine a world where I would not take care of the people who are supporting and taking care of me. I don't know. That would be crazy. Like, you guys saw in my video where I said thank you for getting monetized. I gave a shout out to one of my friends who's also starting their YouTube journey because I want to help out the community. I really do care. And I love talking to you guys. That really means the world to me. And I would hope that at the very least, if you take away nothing else, it's that David really can't be trusted, and we really shouldn't be allowing people like David to exert this big influence on people and to use his ability to manipulate others into these relationships where he's taking advantage of his fans and making his fans want to support him, even though ultimately this guy hurts people around him and he makes people suffer and creates economic challenges and is generally a negative force. His content isn't even that like positive. I mean, it's mostly just about him messing with other people to get audiences, mostly children, to go after, after the insatiable crave of wanting more of this vitriolic entertainment. It's just sad, and it really does kind of break my heart a little bit. So, I think that's about it. And again, I'm sure I've missed stuff. I'm sure some stuff might be wrong. Again, I've done the best I can to get some research done, but I also there's so much going on. Like I might need to make a part 2. We'll see. We'll see if that ends up happening. But for now, I think we're going to end it here. Thank you all for watching. Seriously, guys, I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but I really am so genuinely grateful for everybody who has been with me through this process of becoming I guess an official YouTuber, and I just can't thank you all enough. There's going to be more content that you can watch if you'd like. You're welcome to go watch about other different subjects. More content is definitely on the way. I got stuff already pre-scheduled for the gaming. Again, remember, despite these videos, this is a gaming channel, and I'm going to keep making video game videos, and I hope you guys have been liking that as well. But yeah, I'm Elwirfy, and I will definitely see you all next time. Take care, everyone.